Good day, Mom. I am Cindy Abjelina from BSHM 3A, and I am here to present to you my report about the Insurance Law Chapter 14. So, before we proceed, here is my learning objectives. Enumerate items that can be insured by a tourism establishment. Identify the rationale behind the concept of insurance. Explain the different kinds of insurance. And identify the advantages and disadvantages of having insurance. So on the next slide, we have here the insurance is a very useful for companies engaged in the tourism industry because there are many kinds of risks in enterprises where investments oftentimes is quite substantial. So by way of example, an employer may subscribe to a group insurance for his employees as part of its employee benefit program. So insurance contracts are governed by the insurance law by PD 612, which instituted the insurance code now referred to as PD 1460. So in case of the latter's deficiency, the provisions of the Civil Code of the Philippines govern. So the next slide, we have here the definition and concept. So in section 2:1, a contract of insurance is an agreement whereby undertakes or a consideration of indemnify another against loss, damage, or liability arising from an unknown or contingent event. So the essential of the elements of an insurance contract are the insurable interest, existence of risk, assumption of such risk by the insurer, said assumption being part of a general scheme to distribute actual losses among those bearing similar risk, and the payment of premium. So the next slide, we have here the characteristics of insurance contract. First, we have here the aleatory contract or indemnity, onerous, bilateral, formal, and formal. So we also have here the parties in an insurance contract. We have the insurer, the insured, and the beneficiary. So on the next slide, we have here the insurance contract may refer to the following. First, the life insurance. The second, we have here the fire insurance. Third, we have here the marine insurance. And the fourth, we have here the personal accident insurance. So on the next slide, we have here the insurable interest. So in section 10, every person has an insurable interest in the life and health. So also in section 13, every interest in property, whether real or personal, or any relation thereto, or liability in respect thereof, of such nature that a contemplated peril might directly indemnify the insured, is an insurable interest. Also state here in section 14, an insurable interest in property may consist in an existing interest, inchoate interest founded on an existing interest, and an expectancy coupled with an existing interest that out of which the expectancy arises. We also have here the section 15, a carrier or depository of any kind has an insurable interest in a thing held by him as such, to the extent of his liability, but not to exceed the value thereof. So to discuss this, an insurable interest is that relationship with a person or thing that will support the issuance of an insurance policy. So a person is usually regarded as having an insurable interest in the subject matter insured when he will derive pecuniary benefit or advantage from its preservation, or will suffer pecuniary loss or damage from its destruction. So insurable interest in property should exist not only on the date of execution of the contract, but on the date of the occurrence of the risk insured against. So on the other hand, the insurable interest in the life and health of a person insured must exist with the insurance takes effect, but need not exist thereafter or when the loss occurs. So on the next slide, we have here the beneficiaries. So stated in the section 18, no contract or policy of insurance on property shall be enforceable except for the benefit of some person having an insurable interest in the property insured. Also stated in section 19, an interest in property insured must exist when the insurance takes effect and when the loss occurs, but need not exist in the meantime. And interest in the life or health of a person insured must exist when the insurance takes effect, but need not exist thereafter or when the loss occurs. So it is stated that a person cannot lawfully procure insurance on the life of another in whose life he has no insurable interest. So the assured must have an interest preserve the life to be insured in spite of the insurance. So in order that one may have an insurable interest in the life of another, it must be one of those mentioned in section 10 of the insurance codes, because this holds true where the employer who is the titular or named insured obtains insurance on the life and health of its employees. So with respect to insurance on property, it is imperative that the beneficiary is a person having an insurable interest in the property insured. So on the next slide, we have here the fire, marine, and third party liability insurance. So stated in section 9, marine insurance includes the insurance against loss of or damage to such as the vessels, craft, aircraft, vehicles, goods, freight, cargoes, merchandise, effects, disbursements, profits. Also, marine insurance includes person or property in connection with or appertaining to a marine, inland marine, transit or transportation insurance, including liability for loss or damage arising out of or in connection. And also, marine insurance includes the precious stones, jewels, jewelry, precious metals, and the bridges, tunnels, and other instrumentalities of transportation and communication, excluding the buildings and their furnitures and furnishings. So on the next slide, we have here the fire insurance. So stated in section 167, as used in this code, the term fire insurance shall include insurance against loss by fire, lightning, windstorm, tornado, or earthquake, and other allied risks when such risks are covered by extension of fire insurance policies or under separate policies. So to discuss this, fire insurance is essentially a contract of indemnity. So in fire insurance, only a hostile and not a friendly fire is insured against. Under an open policy, the measure of indemnity is the actual loss sustained, and burden is upon the insured to establish the amount of such loss. So under a valued policy of fire insurance, the valuation in the policy is conclusive between the parties. So on the next slide, we have here the compulsory motor vehicle liability insurance. Stated here in section 373, for purposes of this chapter, a motor vehicle is any vehicle as defined in section 3 paragraph A of the Republic Act numbered 4106 36, otherwise known as Land Transportation and Traffic Code as amended by PD 1455. A passenger is any fare-paying person being transported and conveyed in and by a motor vehicle for transportation of passengers for compensation. We also have here the third party is any person other than a passenger as defined in this section and shall also exclude a member of the household or a member of the family within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity. So we also have here the land transportation operator means the the owners or owners of the motor vehicles for transportation of passengers for compensation including school buses. We also have here the insurance policy or policy refers to a contract of insurance against passengers and third-party liability for death and bodily injuries arising from motor vehicle accidents. It is amended by the PD 1814. So, also stated in section 374, it shall be unlawful for any land transportation operator to operate the same in the public highways unless there is in force in relation thereto a policy of insurance or guarantee in cash or surety bond issued in accordance with the provisions of this chapter to indemnify the death, body injury, or damage to property of a third party or passenger as the case may be arising from the use thereof. Also stated in section 377 that every land transportation operator and every owner of the motor vehicle shall, before applying for the registration or renewal of any motor vehicle at his option, either secure an insurance policy or surety bond issued by an insurance company authorized by the commissioner or make a cash deposit in such an amount as herein required as limit of liability for purposes specified in section 364. So on the next slide, we have here the war risk insurance. So war risk insurance is an insurance covering damage caused by acts of war. So it includes coverage for war, hijacking, and related perils. So insurers have extended the withdrawal liability coverage for weapons of mass destruction or the WMD. So a subset of war risk insurance, WMD includes a radioactive contamination or the dirty bombs, electromagnetic pulse devices, chemical, biological weapons. Its coverage was subsequently provided at full policy limits for passengers liability but limited to a maximum of 50 million US dollars for all third-party injury and property damage. So I guess that could be all, ma'am. I am Cindy Abjelina from BSHM 3A. Thank you.